one stop shop from construction on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better, pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Koppel's big summer sales event is kicking off into high gear with lots of fantastic offers still going on. We've got 0.9% interest rates and trade-in bonuses on select new models. I know it all sounds too good to be true, but yes, 0.9% interest rates right now at Koppel. Also ramping up our back-to-school vehicles, and our pre-owned inventory is filling fast. We've got great new pre-owned and GM certified units ready to roll. So stop on by the dealer or online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with approved credit.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. Best friend.
Hey, moms and dads, bring the whole crew to a Salt Dogs baseball game and unleash the fun. This park all summer for Fireworks Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, Sunday Family Fun Days, and more. With 50 home games, even weekdays can be unforgettable. Planning an event home run with group discounts. When you need an outing the whole family will enjoy, unleash the fun with the Salt Dogs. Call 402-474-2255 or visit saltdogs.com for tickets.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring a friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. Join the judgment-free zone today. Deal ends Thursday, August 10th. See Home Club for details.
Problem gambling is not just a financial issue. It's an emotional problem with financial consequences. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. It's the Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Austin Orman are with you. I have a confession to make. I ate a piece of garlic bread during the break, and now I have the hiccups. So if I just hiccup on air, I am sincerely sorry. Or if I just take a weird pause, it's because I have to get the hiccup out.
What I respect more than anything is you being the guy who eats garlic bread and then comes into a studio.
Yeah.
Where we're 6 feet apart.
Well,
here's the thing. I love garlic bread as much as the next guy. And here's the thing. We're moving out of here in this month.
Yeah.
So I don't care. But
listen.
I've gotten yelled at a couple times, not here, but in previous lives for bringing like shrimp skin and having to reheat it in the office microwave.
I have spaghetti back there. I haven't been able to heat it up. But I brought 2 pieces of garlic bread with my leftover spaghetti, which, by the way, spaghetti is one of those foods that's better left over than it is fresh.
Sure.
And I'll stand by that take till the day I die. But I was hungry after the water cooler, and one of my biggest things, one of the things I hate the most is warming up something and then letting it sit there to where I have to warm it up again. If I warm it up one time, I want to be able to eat it, and I don't want to have to piece at it. So I got to wait till after the show to eat the lunch, and then I will be able to enjoy my last piece of garlic bread with my spaghetti.
I make multiple trips to the microwave because I eat so slow.
That's a problem.
I just cannot physically eat fast. I guess on my trip, we had a deadline. So I did manage to eat a Chipotle burrito in 10 minutes. My wife is there.
That's special.
First and last time for everything. Like, I am the slowest eater known to mankind, maybe beat out only by my grandpa. So it runs in the family.
Okay.
But I constantly go back to the microwave to reheat my food.
Yeah, so I apologize. I think the hiccups are gone, though, for the time being. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. Both those open for you guys the entire show today, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X. Are we starting to call it X, or are we doing Twitter still?
Still Twitter.
Perfect, thank you. Twitter and Allo Channel 951. My app icon officially changed to a black X overnight. So, yeah. Anyway, 402-464-5685. Those are both open for you guys to send in your thoughts. And we got a packed show. It's never a dull day here.
Packed show?
A packed show.
Pack show.
Sure. It's never a dull day here in Nebraska athletics. Obviously, Aaron Eulis is under the microscope right now, thanks to the $34,800 that he put up on sports bets. Close to 2,000 wagers were placed by Aaron Eulis under a false name. However, they came from his phone and from spots that were not accessible by the public, and including his dorm room, or his residence, I should say, at the University of Iowa. We'll get to that here soon. We'll get to Miles Farmer here soon. But let's talk first about the report that just came out, actually just a few minutes ago, regarding Big Ten and expansion. And this comes from Yahoo Sports, and Dan Wetzel was the first one to report this one for Yahoo Sports. And it says, Big Ten has begun preliminary talks to potentially add Oregon, Washington, Cal, and Stanford to the Big Ten Conference. Later on in the article, it says this, that the schools being considered are Oregon and Washington if the league adds 2 schools, and Cal and Stanford if the league wants to move to 20 schools. The discussions are in the early stages. No decision, including on whether to expand or stay put at 16 teams, has been made. The Big Ten also wants to wait and see what happens with other Pac-12 schools and their potential move to the Big 12 before acting at all. Now, part of this says that, once again, the Big Ten Conference and Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti was doing due diligence on Oregon and Washington. And those talks have intensified in the recent days. But the key remains that the Big Ten does not want to be predators in this situation. They would only move on other Pac-12 schools if other dominoes fall in the Pac-12 conference. So basically, what they are saying with that is that they need Arizona and Arizona State to move to the Big 12 before the Big Ten can officially add Oregon and Washington.
Which I think I like that approach from the Big Ten, and I think that fits with the Big Ten's, at least stated motto of collegiality, right? Of being the gentleman's league.
Exactly.
Right. They're not going to be the poachers. Like, yeah, they, went after Penn State, but Penn State was essentially an independent.
Yeah.
Right. That happened. I guess they went out and got Maryland and Rutgers. They made that push. The Nebraska situation, we all know how that one went down. But the Big Ten has been, to some degree, cutthroat. But I think when you see Stanford and Cal in those discussions, I think that's the Big Ten presidents and commissioners and stakeholders saying, we don't want to get too far from our roots, right? If we're going to expand, we want to make sure that we still keep our Big Ten academic focus, be the gentleman's conference.
Absolutely.
But there's a reason you hear Oregon and Washington mentioned first, because despite what everyone wants to say, all the platitudes they want to throw out there about student athletes, the money's in the athletics.
Well, and so with that in mind, I want to go through a couple hypothetical scenarios to where what Big Ten football and Big Ten, specifically Big Ten football, would look like if they go to 20 teams. 20 teams is a lot. All right. 20
Too
teams
many.
is way too many. First of all, not to have divisions and not to have close to 4 divisions, if you will, right?
You have your own league.
Exactly. So I want to walk through some hypotheticals, but some important information, and you guys send in your thoughts what you might want 18, 20, even 16 teams to look like. 402-464-5685, just your general thoughts. Because this is becoming real now. It was last June or July when USC and UCLA made the transition. Everybody talked about it for a week and a half, 2 weeks. And then it was like, all right, it's going to kind of be hush hush now throughout the season. That's not necessarily the case anymore. Obviously, the Big 12 adds their group of schools. The SEC adds their 2 schools in Texas and Oklahoma. And now you're starting to see some dominoes fall to where board meetings are being scheduled. And then 30 seconds into it, it's going into an executive session so that the live feed has to end and nobody in the public can receive. And then you have Colorado rejoin the Big 12 and the Pac-12 trying to salvage a media rights deal to where, once again, and this comes from Yahoo Sports, still from the same article, that the Apple TV Plus subscription streaming service that George Kliavkoff, the Pac-12 commissioner, presented yesterday, revenue was as low as $20 million per school. Okay. So once again, for context and comparison, Big Ten schools, after signing their $7 billion deal this offseason, will receive a minimum of $50 million a year, with games mostly appearing on linear television, which is CBS, Fox, and NBC. Now, in addition to that, that number is expected to grow annually. Meanwhile, the Big 12 has a $31.7 million per year package for school. So even if you are Colorado, if you're Arizona, if you're Arizona State, you're happy with that extra $11.7 million.
Want to know what's really funny about this? I just looked up some NFL contracts. At $20 million per year, Pac-12 schools would be making $3 million more than Darren Waller. They would be making $3.5 million less than Andrew Thomas and David Bakhtiari per year. They would be making less than Jair Alexander per year. They would be making 2/3 of what TJ Watt makes per year. 2/3 of what Aaron Donald makes per year. They would be making the same money, $20 million per year, as Roquan Smith is making.
So once again, now that's if that is factual, which we would expect it to be.
This is an ESPN article.
That is the revenue were as low as $20 million per year. It's not going to be anywhere near the 31 that the Big 12 is getting. So you can even just, as an estimate and a range, say 20 to 25 million per year. Those are comical numbers, number one. Number two, I can absolutely understand and agree with the action of a lot of the Pac-12 schools immediately saying no and walking away and saying, no, come back to us with a more respectable number, which this doesn't fall on Kliavkoff. This does not fall, on, in my opinion, on the commissioner. It maybe was a weird look to where he goes out and he's formerly of MGM Grand and they decided to hire him as a Pac-12 commissioner. Maybe it was a weird look, but at the end of the day, Pac-12 football just is hard to sell to the rest of the country.
Larry Scott didn't do George Kliavkoff any favors, but as much as I think we as a college football populace like to dunk on Larry Scott, things have been moving this way for a while.
Bingo.
Right? There's only so much Larry Scott could have done. There's only so much George Kliavkoff could have done.
Yep.
And ultimately, again, I think this goes back to we can even throw commissioners in there, right? We boo Manfred. We boo Goodell. Gary Bettman got the short end of the stick on a lot of that stuff, and they've made bad decisions. There are times they deserve it. But ultimately, these commissioners are just the faces for the owners, for the presidents and chancellors. So we let the presidents and chancellors off the hook for a lot of their decisions, a lot of their inaction, a lot of sticking to the principles they want to adhere to instead of being flexible. That's why the SEC and the Big Ten are where they are and why the Pac-12 is where it is right now.
Now, once again, this is not just the Big Ten going to these schools and saying, hey, you want to join us? More than likely, this is those schools going to the Big Ten and saying, hey, can we join you?
They got their Tinder profiles up.
Bingo. Because once again, in this article, thanks to Yahoo Sports, once again written by Dan Wetzel, he was the first one to report this. Pete Thamel's now gotten on top of it and things like that as well. But he says, with the Pac-12 at risk of splintering, which is a great descriptive word, it's like it's starting out with like, all right, 2 teams here, 1 team here, maybe 2 teams with Arizona and Arizona State, And then it's going to just be, there's going to be one straw that breaks the camel's back with these 4 teams of Oregon, Washington, Cal, and Stanford, right? So with the Pac-12 at risk of splintering, Oregon, Washington, Cal, and Stanford renewed their push to the Big Ten, seeking a safe and far richer harbor for their athletic programs starting in 2024. Now it's time to get into the hypothetical situation of things, or visual part of it. Because if the Big Ten Conference elected to move to 20 teams, you would have to dive in fully to where 4 divisions of 5 teams doesn't feel like enough. There's not enough teams in there to like warrant a division, but that's too many teams to have 2 divisions of 10.
It'd be closer to like a baseball style setup. Because like the NFL with the 4-team divisions, I mean, you don't want 5 divisions. That's a weird number to have.
I agree.
So I think you want an even number of divisions.
Yep.
But then 5's a little bit of a weird number, especially if you're playing 12 games. Would you knock that down to 10 games so you can add more on the back end?
Bingo. And I wanted to get to that. The reason why you also want even number of divisions is you want to have this possibility of, and this is far down the road, well, maybe not as far as maybe we are thinking. You want to have the ability to say, hey, why don't we have a playoff style for our conference championship game? We have 2 semifinal games. The top team out of each of those 4 divisions play in a semifinal. East Division winner plays the West Division winner, or the East Division winner plays the South, whatever it was you want to do. You have 2 semis, and then the winner of those 2 semis play in the conference championship game. That's the only way to do it. You have to, and this is why you have to go back to divisions, in my opinion, because if you have just the top 2 teams in your league of 20, you're going to have so many 3-way ties. You're going to have so many 5-way ties that it's going to be so controversial that you're not going to want to be a part of it.
I wonder too, if we get to 20, again, teasing out the hypothetical of getting all the way to 20, if we don't see even more of a professionalization of the schedule and almost like a soccerification, right? Where there's a texter that pointed out, if you do the 4 or 5 team divisions, that probably leaves Nebraska as the odd man out in the West.
Yeah. You're absolutely
at this point. You don't want that. Or say you get all 6 West Coast schools, one of them gets cut out and they have to travel further east. So that's not great. So I almost wonder if, again, say we get to 20, if we do the 4 or 5 team pods, they just break it up based on, the last 3 or 5 year records.
Yeah.
And you readjust what the groups are, almost like NCAA tournament seeding style wise. You'll play those 4 games and then you work your way through tournament style.
Yeah. Well, I think, as a texter pointed out, we're going to 24. There's no way the Big Ten stops at 20. It needs to be, it will be 4 divisions of 6. And that's my point. 5 teams feels like a really small number for a division. So then, as Big Daddy Travis, then the Big Ten goes to the ACC. And that's where you try to first land the big fish in the sea of Florida State. You try to land the Clemsons, right? And you try to get there. But if not, you're always going to be able to say, you know what, the middle of the road teams, the Virginia, which is a high academic institution that fits into your standards, right? Those types of schools, you know what? Hey, come on over. You can be a filler. You can be that 6th team in a division that we're missing. And you mentioned something earlier, Austin, to where does that mean that you schedule fewer games so you can load the back end? I think the answer is no. And here's why. Cha-ching, right? More games means way more money. And you just mentioned it, that the more, the closer that the Big Ten or even college football inches towards expansion, inches towards fewer conferences and more teams per conference, it's going to have this professional feel, which means it's going to be all out there that, hey, money rules everything. And that Big Ten media rights deal is going to be a lot more valuable than $7 billion.
It is. And this is where I think college football needs to be careful, because the larger you expand your conferences as we think about them in college football, because don't forget, the NFL has conferences too.
Yep.
You got AFC and NFC.
Yep.
NFL conferences versus college conferences are 2 entirely different discussions. So the bigger that each of these college conferences get, the better off you are just combining into one and selling your rights a whole, kind of like the NFL has done, right? You used to have NFC TV rights versus AFC rights. That's starting to go away, right? We're seeing more crossover between CBS and Fox.
Bingo.
NBC's its own player. Super Bowl is what it is.
Fox used to be all
NFC. CBS was all AFC.
But now you see Chiefs games on Fox.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, you're right.
Because all schools or all the teams, came together and said, we're going to negotiate this as one. We're not going to use regional networks.
Yeah.
That has been entirely profitable for the NFL. I think there's a lot of sense in that model to some degree for college football if conferences keep expanding. The problem they would run into is that it's going to be tough for college football to compete with the NFL.
Yep.
As popular as college football is, NFL is still king, still ratings king. As much professionalization as is going on in college football, you can't take that too far because then you're a worse NFL and you lose your niche. If you have a 17-game regular season, if you put everything all under one umbrella, you have to do something as college football marketers to make yourself unique. If you're going to start your season a little bit before the NFL, like you are now, and be done before the NFL gets over, you have your own window, right? You've set aside time to make yourself an event, but you see the NFL starting to creep into that, right? With their expanded wild card, with the expanded playoff, there's going to be more competition between college football and the NFL. And I don't think that bodes well for college football.
No, absolutely not. You're going to have somewhat of a NFL Europe type of feel or a USFL type of feel to where Saturday is going to be your day. You're still going to get people to watch it, but there's going to be a lot of people a lot of traditionalists more specifically that don't like it. And you can't blame them for that. Unnamed Texter says this, it's going to end up being 24 to 32 team leagues that only play within the league during the regular season. Now, what I would also add to that, I have been on the boat of, I don't think the Big 12 dies. I don't. I think
that's the wrench in the two conference plan.
I think the Big 12 will stay alive. I think Brent Yormark, the commissioner for the Big 12, has been upfront and honest about, hey, Big 10 doesn't want to be the predator, but we have no problem doing it. We are fighting for our lives, and we're going to do what basically the ACC is not doing. The ACC in this whole entire thing could be doing what the Big 12 is doing and trying to scrape up and trying to get national to where, hey, yeah, Utah, come on over. We'll let you in right now. But right now, the ACC has somewhat allowed the Big 12 to be that predator where they're able to add the Cincinnatis, the BYUs, the potential Utahs, and Arizona State are saying, hey, we'll happily come right over.
Okay, two-part question. We'll start with the Big 10 aspect of it before I jump back to the ACC.
Yeah.
In your opinion, is it the right move for the Big 10 to sit back and see what else happens to not look predatory, or is this where Tony Petitti has to move in for the kill?
I think as of right now, the Big 10 has so much leverage that they're doing okay. That I think this is the right move. However, when the Pac-12 officially, when that straw breaks the camel's back, that's when you move into predatory mode. And I'm talking nationwide. When one of the major 5 conferences officially disbands, officially disintegrates, and is done, then that's when you go in for the kill. That's when you round up everybody, because that's going to be, it just takes one domino to fall. And in this case, there are 5 dominoes. With that one domino, that's 3/4 fallen is the Pac-12. Once that one falls, then the ACC can fall, and it's not a bad thing. You're not the reason college football got ruined. People can't look at you 20 years down the line and say it's the Big Ten's fault that the original Power 5 conferences ruined football.
I like that. Moving back to the ACC for a second, I don't know if the ACC has the brand to stay national, or to go national. Even expanding as far north as they did, some of those schools didn't like. There was a lot of opposition to that. So I think the ACC is similar to the Big Ten in that it wanted, at least initially, stay regional, wanted to stick to its principles.
Yeah.
So that leaves the Sun Belt for the taking, right? I'm a little surprised the ACC hasn't raided the Sun Belt, but don't forget, the ACC is at 15 teams that play basketball. And you throw Notre Dame in there as a football partner. They play ACC and pretty much everything else. Who in the Sun Belt do you go get? Do you go get App State, Coastal Carolina? James Madison just made the transition up to D1.
Yeah.
Like, I love that school and what the football program's doing. That's a risk to take. Louisiana, what are they without Billy Napier, right? They were pretty recent pop-up. Marshall, I don't think moves the needle. Southern Miss, no. Troy, probably not. This is where the Big 12, I think, did what the ACC needed to do, right? The ACC needed to go get UCF.
Yeah.
Keep them away from the Big 12. The ACC probably out of range for Cincinnati, probably Houston as well. I think that's a little too far for the ACC, but finding a way to get a UCF would have gone a long way for the ACC.
Bingo. And they just haven't been, we talk about being a predator. They haven't been that. They haven't tried to be that team, to be that conference. They've kind of just sat on their heels and said, well, we're not going to really do anything. We're just kind of see, because initially, don't forget, the thought process when conference realignments discussion started was that it'd be the Big Ten, the SEC, and the ACC as the the three conferences to stay alive. That conversation has completely shifted to where it's, all right, the Pac-12 is going to be the first conference to fall. You're not going to take BYU from the Big 12. You're not going to take UCF from the Big 12. No. And you're certainly not going to take a team like Cincinnati from the Big 12. They just got there. They're happy. They're thrilled. And the Big 12, frankly, is thrilled that they're there because the Big 12 can thank those teams for staying alive.
The minor move for the ACC would have been getting UCF, but it was so worried about that group of 7 schools that was looking to break the media rights agreement, right? We've trashed the ACC for falling behind to some degree because they're locked into their deal for so long. What the deal says is you can't leave. It doesn't say the conference can't add anyone.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know who there would have added value for the ACC, but even a minor move like UCF would have at least presented, to the general public a feeling or a sense of stability to some degree. Like, hey, we're still here. Hey, we're still a power player.
Well, and get this. There's also something to be said about if you come out and you add a team like a UCF, chances are there's going to be another group of 5 team like a Cincinnati that says, hey, what about us? Are you willing to join us? Because you better believe that if Cincinnati's willing to travel to Texas, to Oklahoma every single weekend, they'll travel to the southeastern part of the country. They're not worried about that. Why? Because there's a lot more money in the Power 5. They're not having to worry about funds to travel. They don't have to go to an Alabama and say, hey, this is the game that makes us. We might get boat raced 55-3. But hey, we make $1.3 million for coming here. They don't have to worry about that anymore.
No,
they don't have to. And so, and Byron the Hog Farmer says this, and this is the last thing because unfortunately we're running out of time here on this segment. Byron the Hog Farmer asks, how does Notre Dame not have to join a conference at this point? Literally the only school with special treatment. I would say this: they are somewhat intertwined with the ACC. And that is exactly why I said what I said earlier when Austin asked me if I would agree with the approach that Tony Petitti is going with. Because once that straw that breaks the camel's back of the Pac-12 officially falls and officially snaps, if you will, then the Big Ten goes into predator mode, where they take maybe just an Oregon and Washington from the Pac-12, and then it's, you know what, Stanford and Cal, you guys just sit and wait tight. We're going to check on these guys.
Right.
And guess what? The Big Ten has so much power that they can do that. They can absolutely do that. They're not saying, yeah, we need everybody we can get. Because they're not saying that at all. If Clemson if Clemson then goes, hey, yeah, we'll join you, Big Ten. And if Notre Dame goes, well, shoot, if Clemson's going to join, then you know what? Maybe we will join. You're taking those two schools in a heartbeat before you're taking Cal and Stanford.
And you can afford to wait on Cal and Stanford because they're behind in athletics.
Bang.
Oregon and Washington can have their sights on the Big 12 because they're a little more national brand on the field. But Cal and Stanford aren't going to, again, I don't want to demean the Mountain West. I love that basketball conference. But think of high and mighty Cal and Stanford, the academic giants.
Yeah.
They won't want to debase themselves by slumming it down there. They will wait to make sure they're still in a power conference. They're not going to take anything less than that sort of admission.
Well, and we talked about like Virginia Tech kind of being those filler schools. They're not behind in athletics necessarily. No. But we talked about filler schools. If you're able to get a Clemson, a Florida State, a Notre Dame to join in even numbers, and maybe even Virginia, I would say, is thrown in there. then you can worry about Cal, or I should say Stanford, and then maybe a Duke be in those filler schools. That's what you can worry about. So rather instead of a Duke and an NC State, or I don't know, throwing a bottom of the Georgia Tech be in your filler school.
That's a good Big Ten fit.
It's Stanford and it's Duke that are the two fillers. Because why? You were able to poach and be a predator and steal Clemson, Florida State. And then guess what? You weren't the reason that college football got ruined. You're not the reason. You just took advantage of after it got ruined. It's a much better look for you 15, 20 years down the road, if that makes sense. Man, what a fascinating conversation. We got plenty of more stuff to get to. We'll probably get to some of your texts because you guys have had a lot of thoughts on these over the course of this 30-minute segment or so. And so I definitely want to get to those because there's a lot of fascinating thoughts on there. But when we come back, we definitely will mention Aaron Eulis a little bit. We're going to talk Husker football as Miles Farmer has officially entered the portal. It's been a busy day, especially with this new breaking news that talks have somewhat intensified with Oregon and Washington coming potentially to the Big Ten Conference. All right, let's take a break. We're listening to Happy Hour. We'll be right back on 93.7 The Ticket.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour 93.7 and the Ticket FM.
Problem is a financial issue. It's an emotional problem with financial consequences. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Hey, moms and dads, bring the whole crew to a Salt Dogs baseball game and unleash the fun. Visit Haymarket Park all summer for Fireworks Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, Sunday Family Days, and more. With 50 home games, even weekdays can be unforgettable. Planning an event? Make it a home run with group discounts. When you need an outing the whole family will enjoy, unleash the fun with the Salt Dogs. Call 402-474-2255 or visit saltdogs.com for tickets.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring your friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in a Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. Join the judgment-free zone today. Deal ends Thursday, August 10th. See Home Club for details.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential or electrical installation and services. Call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started. Too many people believe that chronic pain, allergies, or illness are permanent and something you're stuck with. Novotny Nutrition and Wellness has been proving that narrative wrong for 29 years and changing lives for the better in the process. Their team is trained in the newest, most advanced pain-relieving techniques and ways to deal with talk, allergies, pollution, and emotion that make you ill. Call today for a free consultation at 531-254-5695 or go to NovotnyNutritionandWellness.com. Novotny Nutrition and Wellness, located at 7th and Superior.
H&H Roofing, established in 2015, is proud to serve the local area, which includes the tri-state area, Alaska, Iowa, and South Dakota. H&H Roofing has a professional team that are licensed and bonded, GAF Master Certified Installers, and an insurance-preferred contractor that will work directly with your insurance company. Also a leading roofer, siding, and gutter specialist. H&H Roofing will service all residential, commercial, and agricultural needs. Go to HandHroofs.com for more information or call 402-359-2546.
Proud to be Vote Best Vape Shop.
Generation V.
Is thrilled to announce our newest location is now open at 27th and Superior.
Generation V.
Explore the largest selection of vape, Delta 8, Kratom, all your favorite brands of disposables, e-liquid, and premium THCA flower.
Generation V.
We'll guide you through our extensive collection to help you find the perfect fit.
Generation V.
With locations in Lincoln, Omaha, Seward, York, Kearney, and Beatrice. Visit our newest store now open at 27th and Superior in Lincoln. GenerationV.com. E6 contain nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Don't allow uninvited guests to take over your home. Trust Bats to Rats for a peaceful and rodent-free living space.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
When I gave you the cookie, I heard very clearly, I don't think about you, Jeanette. Why would I friends? We're not animals.
We're men. The only time a man is allowed to think about another man is when
the ticket, ticketfm.com. And on with you, posted about a week.
For him to be
seriously, he's gonna be so sad. I was out on the stream.
Oh no!
Sad. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm just a black rectangle right now. There we go. We're here.
We back.
We're back.
Like
All
we never
anyway,
left.
Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys the entire way here. It's gonna have to be a shorter segment. That's maybe we'll see. Strick is back though for you today.
He is.
So
It's true.
Strick is in the building after his journey to Alabama, I believe is where he was at. But no, let's continue with this conference realignment discussion because we were talking during the break. Number of games become a conversation in this. As a texter said, let's see. Hold on one second. I have to figure out something about 18 games. I cannot find where the texter is.
It was 107.5, whoever that was.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Adding a conference semifinal means that a team could theoretically play 18 games if they make a national championship. That's a little much unless you take away a regular season game. And my thought to that is it's accurate. You're absolutely right. And Austin, you said something earlier in the first segment about once you're starting to do as much as the NFL, you're doing too much. The other side of the coin of that is that the NCAA or whoever is the governing body of college football is never going to want to take away a game because that means less revenue.
It does to a point, right? Because there are two schools of thought. Number one is more games, more revenue. And then that's simple and that's straightforward. But then you think about what brings in more money. What do people pay? What do networks pay more to broadcast? The college football or a divisional game?
Yeah.
Scarcity can also drive up prices, right? That's why ticket prices, at some of these events go so high because there's only so many seats available.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I think administrators, whether it's at the networks or the schools, need to be careful, especially if we want to maintain some semblance of student athlete and college versus pro. Because if you look at basketball, you're going to more than double the number of games you play from college to the NBA. Major League or college baseball to Major League Baseball, you're in the money alone almost tripling it in some cases when you get to the pros. You can't be playing more games in college than you can in the NFL. That's not healthy. That's not the right approach. So you would either have to completely cut out non-conference games as we know them, or you run the risk of playing more games than the NFL.
Which is not an avenue you want to go down, as you talked about. I brought up during the break, if you're a group of 5 team that gets left out of the Power 3 conferences, why even support football anymore? Why even sponsor football anymore? Because you're not going to have an opportunity to get a strong enough resume around a group of other other powerful football programs that can make any splash in the country, right? Can make any New Year's Six bowl game, can even make a push at a playoff. Nobody's going to be talking about those types of schools anymore, unfortunately. So I think it's just so insane to think about where it truly may only be those 3 conferences, and that's it.
That's it, because that group of 5 gets left in the middle spot, right?
Bingo.
Right now they've been in the middle as it is, but we've seen UCF, Boise State, Utah before they joined,
Carolina,
Coastal,
yes.
Cincy before they joined the Big 12, right? We've seen those teams pop up, be interesting, be fun, but with those teams in what's now the Power 5, the Power however many we end up with, what's the difference between Group of 5 and FCS?
Nothing.
Right? Does the current Group of 5 just become its own entity and run more FCS style?
Yeah.
Does it back up into FCS? I don't know, but we don't want to lose opportunities for student athletes. That's what makes it so great about there being 128 teams, I believe, at the FBS level this year. There's opportunities for guys to go to the next level and play. We don't want to diminish opportunities for student athletes that have put that much work into high school football. But at the same time, the money has to work for everyone.
Yes.
Both sides can be right, but both sides have to make concessions as well.
Well, let's be honest. In a hypothetical situation here, scenario is that we mentioned McNeese State or I guess they're FCS, so it doesn't count for them. Marshall.
Yeah.
Marshall won't be able to go to Alabama if the SEC goes away with non-con games.
Right.
They won't be able to pack their non-con schedule.
They won't beat Notre Dame again.
With Alabama, Notre Dame, Texas, to where those schools will pay them a little over $1 million to come to the school and get boat raced. But for football, they're not going to be able to do that. They won't. And so I wonder what happens, because they're going to get lost in the sauce of everything. And at that point, why even have a football program at the Division I level? You're not going to be able to get the fan support. You worry
it's the most expensive sport to sponsor.
Frankly, recruiting may take a dive because guys might not want to play there if they're not good enough to go to the Power 3 conferences. Are they going to be? Are they how bought in and excited are they going to be for Sun Belt, where it doesn't mean more? It doesn't mean as much.
And as much
sound like the SEC.
Well,
Doesn't mean more.
And as much as we talk about how NIL and transfer portal made sports so professional, if we do get that split, we are truly into guys signing minor league contracts to go play at the Group of 5 level.
Bingo.
Like free agency between just these teams that have set themselves apart into this top level. Like, what would that do for the mobility? Of like a Jabril Cox, right, who started North Dakota State, went to LSU, ended up getting drafted. Like, what happens to guys like Samori Toure? What happens to them? You don't have them.
You lose more and more of those stories, which is not good for college football at times. Once again, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Starter Heyman text line. Really good conversations on conference realignment here. This tweet just sent out by Brett McMurphy a little bit ago. A group of Big Ten presidents have started exploring discussions on expansion. Last August, and this is important, last August, the Big Ten vetted and cleared Oregon and Washington to join the league. Those discussions slowed considerably during the commissioner change, but have now re-engaged. Big Ten presidents are considering Oregon and Washington, along with Stanford and Cal, which we talked about, while also keeping an eye on if any teams leave the ACC. Now, that's once again where I stand. Let the Pac-12 dissolve and then go in for the kill. Go in for the kill and take anybody and everybody you want and can get if you're the Big Ten Conference, because that just means more money. Let's go to the phone lines. We got Craig on the line. Craig, what's on your mind, man?
I was just wondering what you guys would say if Notre Dame said, no, we're not joining a super conference. We like our own TV deal, and they have to pay out $1.5 million every home opponent from here forward, and it's going to be nobody from the super conferences. How do you think that'd factor in? Have a good one, guys.
Thanks,
Hey,
Craig.
Craig.
Go ahead, Austin.
You take it first.
Well, I think honestly, if you're the Big Ten Conference and Notre Dame says no, or for that matter, even the SEC and the Big Ten or Notre Dame says no, you kind of say, all right, fine. We'll take our big piece of the pie of, at that point, you're probably looking at about $65 million of TV revenue per school, per university. and say, all right, fine. You just do your thing with your smaller piece of the pie and, risk falling behind. Because once again, if you get away from non-con games like you would expect if teams go to 20, 24 schools in a conference, then how does Notre Dame schedule? They're going to schedule a lot of those group of 5 schools.
Mm-hmm.
And with that in mind, they're not going to have the resume that we always talk about come playoff time to compete with an SEC school that played multiple SEC schools or Big Ten. Same story there.
Absolutely. I like that aspect of the conversation, and that's where I was for a while. But as we keep talking about just how much conferences expand, I almost wonder if Notre Dame has the right idea and the right mindset by just saying we have enough, right? They're still getting paid by NBC. They have enough money to do what they do. They're still in that conversation. They're still national. And I think that the fact that, they are one of the largest Catholic schools, that they have that pull that recruits that, some schools just don't have. So Notre Dame is unique in that way. But I do think the attitude and the mindset of we have enough would go a long way for the rest of college athletics. Because right now, we're getting to a point where we can see diminishing returns. That's why we're talking about value adds. Who brings in more money? Yeah. But at some point, can it be about something other than the money? Like, I get it's a very human desire to want more money.
Moral.
Yeah, exactly. And at some point, don't you have enough? Right? Because the more you chase money, the more you're going to endanger, the more you're going to honestly exploit in some ways the athletes, the tougher you're going to make everyone's life. And for what purpose? Another $5 million? You already have 100. What's another 5? So I almost wonder if Notre Dame is onto something by saying we have enough.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I need to clear this up. Wet Blanket came at me on the text line, says, Nick, stop with the quote, will the players even care hyperbole. Have you ever seen an FCS or a Division II game? Yes, I have. Those guys work their butts off all week and put their bodies on the line on each and every play on game day. That wasn't to take away from the athletes. That's not what I was getting at all, Wet Blanket. I was getting at from the immoral and inhumane side of things, where we have seen universities, they don't care. They don't care if they hurt the feelings of players, right? They're not going to care if they're losing money season after season. They are not going to care. This has nothing to do with the FCS or Division II. That's going to still be fine. We're talking about group of 5 schools here that are, as frankly as I can put it, left out, left behind, in the dust. It's
as bad as it's been for them, it could be worse.
Yes, because guess what? If we don't know what's going to happen to bowl games, we don't know. And you also talk about who's going to want to sponsor bowl games, who's going to want to host bowl games between a Marshall and a Western Kentucky. When guess what? There are 8 games going on with the college football playoff that are getting way more attention and traction. That's just how the world is. And it's not fun. It's not good to be a part of, but that's just being real, is that those schools are going to get left in the dust. And maybe they don't cut their football programs within the next 5 years. Maybe this is something that we slowly start to see time and time again. And maybe by cutting programs, maybe they just drop to the FCS level, and that helps them out as well. But there is a way to where schools just go, you know what? It's not worth it anymore, because we are just left behind and we don't have a chance to even catch up, and we don't have a chance to even give ourselves an opportunity because we can't schedule anybody.
It's a scary thought, and this is where I think sometimes we get lost in the debate of the different levels and the purpose of the different levels, right? You go to high school and you play sports on the side. College is a step up from that, right? For some guys, it is just like high school, where you go to class, you're good enough to play the sport, but you have no intention of playing at the next level. But for some guys, they go to play college sports to move on to the next level. Being that in-between step puts college athletics in a really funky, tricky to navigate spot.
Yeah, I agree with you there. All right, let's take a break. Really good discussion there on both sides. Thanks to Craig for calling in and with the Notre Dame question, because Notre Dame's a really fascinating player in all of this as well. When we return, let's go ahead and talk a little Husker hoops because Aaron Eulis has been suspended and Nebraska has released an official statement that we just got via email just a few minutes ago. So we'll go ahead and update you guys on that, update you on the Aaron Eulis situation. If you have not heard, make sure you stick around in just a few minutes. We'll be back with that thought and more here on the Happy Hour as we get you ready for On the Block with Strick and Austin here, starting a little after 2 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. To stay in all day long wherever you are. More of the Happy Hour is next on 93.7 theticketfm.com.
These are back and better than ever. New owner Mike, who has been for the last 2.5 years, will be using the same high-quality raw materials and equipment that Eagle chassis have always been made with. Located in Nebraska, Eagle Motorsports LLC will continue to provide sprint car teams with the safest, most durable chassis there are. They will give drivers the strength, flexibility, and durability that they need to win on race night. If you're looking for a new chassis or need repairs made to your current one, call Mike at 402-826-0302.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info or call 402-6716.
Working in the local construction industry. The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-75-1033 for your electrical career today.
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way.
Hey, moms and dads, bring the whole crew to a Salt Dogs baseball game and unleash the fun. Visit Haymarket Park all summer for Fireworks Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, Sunday Family Fun Days, and more. With fifth games, even weekdays can be unforgettable. Planning an event? Make it a home run with group discounts. When you need an outing, the whole family will unleash the fun with Salt Dogs. Call 402-474-2255 or visit saltdogs.com for tickets.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you. Take the first step towards a better pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today: showers from likely this morning, then mostly cloudy skies will take over this afternoon. We'll see a high of around 84. Tonight we'll see a chance of storms late, otherwise mainly cloudy skies, a low of around 71. And tomorrow we'll see partly sunny skies with a high of around 86. Meteorologist Kyle Hucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Look at him and tell me there's a God.
And Enrique Alvarez. Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93 Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. We're going to be joined by the Husker Hall of Famer Eric Strickland here in just a few moments. Austin Norman still hanging out with me here on a Wednesday. Good conference realignment discussion throughout the entire show here. That was not the initial plan, but plans have a way of going awry, as folks know, and appreciate you guys chiming in all show long on the Sartor Hamann Jewelers text line and the Honda of Lincoln hotline, 402-464-5685. Hello, Strick.
What's going on, fellas?
How was the trip?
Tiring.
Yeah,
because it's just a quick turnaround.
Gotcha. When'd you get in?
Early this morning.
That's probably why.
I got to Strick at 4:30. If that tells you anything.
Dang.
Yeah, I had to head to the airport. The flight was at 6:15, so I had
Okay.
to get to the airport pretty early. And
How long of a flight was
Alabama? Well, where I'm from is it's about an hour and 15, 20 minutes from
Gotcha.
Atlanta. So then you got to make the drive, and you got to get there early because you just don't know what's going to go on with that.
That's a big airport.
With the Atlanta airport's crazy. So
Which airports were easiest or hardest for you in the NBA?
well, I mean, the cool thing about us is that we're chartered, so
True.
we go to the chartered areas,
Mm.
and you go through, and then you do the same things you would do out here, and you just go get on the plane, they load it up, and you're out of there. So it's not necessarily as
Not bad.
difficult. Yeah.
We are getting to Aaron Eulis, and I know you guys are probably going to talk about it during the show, so we don't want to talk too much about it. Bach and I also gave a pretty extensive segment run at it right when the news came out. Obviously, Aaron Eulis. The statement from Nebraska Athletics, the University of Nebraska Athletic Department administration was made aware this summer about a potential issue regarding the eligibility of men's basketball student athlete Aaron Eulis. Since that time, we have been in communication with the NCAA regarding this matter, and Aaron is not participating with the team on its trip to Spain. The team is up by 6 points on Valencia, last check, at the end of the third quarter. So just for context, guys, and I'll just get your umbrella thoughts, and then I'll let you guys dive deeper into it on the block. But Aaron Eulis, it's been announced that he has first of all, I should back up a few steps. It was announced on Monday. Fred Hoiberg said that Aaron Eulis will not be participating with the team during its trip to Spain. Did not give any further details. Then around noon today or so, it was announced that Aaron had placed 1,850 sport wagers while at Iowa. 750 of those were placed while he was under the age of 21, which is the legal betting age in the state of Iowa. He also did it through a fake name. Anton Porter is who he was describing himself as.
Listed as an older brother, so there must be a different.
There must be. There was also the location where he was placing the bets, and this is, really a kicker here. It was from his residence and from places at the University of Iowa that are not open to the public. So it tells you a little bit as well. A grand total of around $34,800 was placed by Aaron Eulis during these 1,850 wagers. Obviously, the NCAA has strict policies to where if it's amounts that greatly exceed $800, the players are at a pretty high risk of losing their ineligibility permanently. So there's a very good chance here, in my opinion, that we don't see Aaron Eulis on the floor ever.
Wow. NIL, huh?
Yeah.
Just go figure. I think there's a couple of things. One, what impact or in what way do you think Aaron Eulis would have been of value to the university? I thought he was okay at Iowa. Didn't really, show me too much. The competition was going to be heavy at the position. So me personally, you love the depth, but is it somebody that felt was going to be a player? Personally, I think so.
Yeah.
Could have, but just didn't think so. So, Phil, do I feel bad for him? Do they know the rules? I mean, is this something, the way I look at it, is this something that compliance officers, or is this something that the player development guys, because I don't know. I think the player development in college is different than the player development in the NBA, because they actually do really a lot of skill stuff. But I think player development here do do things like that, monitor them where they're going in class, and,
Babysit a little bit.
yeah, it's kind of different. So is this something that they need to have more symposiums on, because it's happening more than we actually believe or think? So I don't know. I feel bad for him, but you know,
it's part of it.
My two umbrella takeaways real quick. Number one, call me a Kool-Aid drinker if you want. Don't put this on Fred in the recruiting staff. This didn't come out till later. The investigation didn't get released till May 9th. He committed on May 1st. So I'm to believe Fred Hoiberg and crew had no idea this.
Yeah, they were
was out
surprised.
there. Right. So I'll say that. Second of all, $34,000.
Yeah.
Like, is that NIL money that he was using to place those bets, or did he place those bets because he wasn't getting NIL and this was his replacement for it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a lot of, it's just real interesting. Obviously, the other news of the day, Miles Farmer enters the transfer portal. I'm sure you guys will dive into that as well. Coming up on the block, what else you got for us today, gentlemen?
We'll lead off with Miles Farmer, a chat with Evan Blay and some fall camp headlines. We're getting into conference realignment as well in hour number 2.
We may not go as deep because you guys exhausted the topic probably. So we
That's
may
my bad. That's our bad.
Well,
That's our bad.
We'll spin it a couple different ways. We have a couple different questions to look at, and then also the gambling stuff. There's a lot going on. We'll maybe touch a little more on ULIS, but what's going through a college athlete's mind, to think they can get away with it?
Yeah,
essentially, to the degree they tried to.
And along the lines of I'm intrigued by the fact that the investigations are able to get this deep and find this.
Well, and the Iowa DLC, I believe, says that charges may still be coming. More charges and more filings will still be down the road for some of them. So a lot of good content coming your guys' way. Make sure you stick around. On the Block with Strick and Austin is coming up next. That'll do it for us here on the Happy Hour. Austin and myself are back tomorrow. Have a good rest of your Wednesday. See ya.
This is Brian at Midwest Bank, and we've been proudly serving clients in the Lincoln City since 2008, and we're excited to open a second location January 2024 at 70th and Pioneers Boulevard.